the item that I worked very hard on to get written, because it seems as if some of these items I just can't even get the support. So I gotta put pen to paper myself, and if you take it off the agenda, be placed on the January 10th workshop. These are pressing issues. Pressing issues that need to happen today. We've seen people come to the podium and clearly lie. We understand that there's employees who we represent that are a tight time frame with 90 days expiration dates, and we just mill over these things and push certain things. If the administration brings something forward to just have to put on the agenda, no problem, sure, we put it on. Councilman Jackson, I'm a council person. I'm entitled to put things on the agenda. Yeah, the council president does have the ability to control the agenda, but we cannot keep kicking this can down the road. This is absolutely ridiculous. And this right here is just more irresponsibility. When we ride around the city and see how derelict the city is, it's because this council is the absolute worst council that's probably in the history of the city. Madam Clerk, my vote is no.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Mims?
Social Security and Medicare, still to our employees. Then you have all these detailed items that are in here, especially to some of the bills, the removal, the payment to that, some of the work that's being done in our parks, that we have grant funding and all that too. And then the big thing is we just had a wonderful conference at Eastside High School for our young people, and those people need to get paid. So this packet came out on Friday, so all of us as council members, and I do agree that there definitely needs to be meetings, but we, when this information comes to us, we just have to review it in totality. And there's a lot of pieces, especially for our employees and for our youth that need to be paid. I'm not going to vote against those things because it deserves to be done, and that's what the vote of this bill is on tonight. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Velez?
I just want to add what Councilwoman stated a little bit, but all the payments are here are under grants, under contract, and we have to honor those contracts because then we're going to be spending more money in courts. So, and I know that the purchasing agents, on the actually, we're covered for this bill to get paid, do the right thing to get paid. So my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. President?
My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. The votes are 2 absences, 6 yeses, 1 no. Payment of bills in the amount of $7,633,947.59 is hereby adopted.
Let's take item number 1 now, Madam Clerk.
Sure. Item number 1 is a resolution addressing the renewal of a motor vehicle junkyard license for Lafayette Auto Sales Inc., 47 Lafayette Street, Fort Ward. Is Finance Resolution 22-734.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Velez, second by Councilwoman Mims. Roll call.
Roll call on item number 1 for adoption. Councilman Abdelaziz? I'm sorry?
You can't give up the meeting, sir.
Roll call. Councilman Abdelaziz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let me just say, after speaking with my corporation counsel, looking at this agenda item, there's more than one piece to it. It's like 3 or 4 pieces to it. And speaking with my corporation counsel, he explained everything. So with that being said, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Jackson?
I'm not sure what the member of the public is responding to. And by the way, this people that had streets illegally closed, and this happened to be on my block. I know it's not relevant, it's not. There's a manner in which you do things, like the officer should have gotten out of the vehicle and say, "I'm sorry, sir. I know you might live on this block, but it's only going to take a few minutes," as opposed to telling me, get the F out of here. get out of here. Road is closed. There's a way in which people should be addressed, especially when it comes to members of the public. And people have told me I should have gotten out and told him who I was. It's not how things are supposed to be done. Public service is supposed to talk to people in a certain fashion. Madam Clerk, I'm abstaining from this.
Abstain. Councilwoman Mims?
So, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Udine?
Yeah, so as we have discussed in the last meeting that we had an objection in one of the three lots, and this is about the tax sale. But again, last meeting we had no representation for clarification, and we tabled the meeting again to the committee and.
No, this is YouTube.
Also meeting, and I say.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
With my
Get around them some kind of way.
12 the last definitely has no complaint. We cannot stop the business in all sudden. It still has to give some time if anything happens. And of course, if any complaint comes in the future, we will take you know, whatever action needs to be taken from the council's perspective. With that being said, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Velez?
So, the application requesting, we're not ignoring the letter. The letter of the attorney is just information for us. We're not landlord and tenant court. And to the gentleman in the back, I know he's an attorney. I bet you if I interrupted the judge the way you did, probably we'd be removed by the sheriff department in the courthouse. But we in the chambers, we respect your position regarding your opinion, but this is not the place to vet it. You need to go to landlord and tenant court and do what you have to do. But we are only here to resolution address and renewal of motor vehicle young yard license for Lafayette Auto Sales. And I believe he fulfilled his requirement for that license to operate. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. President,
My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
the votes are 6 yeses, 1 abstention, 2 absences. Item number 1 is hereby adopted.
Next, item, Madam Clerk, item number 2.
Yes, Mr. President. Item number 2 is a resolution authorizing the award of contract for the purchase of one 2023 Western Star 47X chassis for single axle from Hudson County Motors under ESC Co-op Agreement number 65, MCES CCPS bid number ESCNJ 20-21-55 for the Department of Public Works. It's Public Works Resolution 22-735.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Velez, second by Councilwoman Mims. Roll call on item number 2, Madam Clerk.
Roll call on item number 2 for adoption. Councilman Abdulaziz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson? Councilwoman Mims?
Yes.
Councilman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Velez?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
It's American, Yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. President,
Yes, Madam Clerk.
the votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Item number 2 is hereby adopted.
Item number 3, Madam Clerk.
Item number 3 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract with J.R. Halftech Company, Inc. for emergency sewer main repairs and replacement. It's bid number 22.10. It's for the Department of Public Works. It's resolution 22-736.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Velez, second by Councilwoman Mims. Roll call on item number 3.
Roll call on item number 3 for adoption. Councilman Abdulaziz? Excuse me, Councilman?
Yes. Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This is for the emergency sewer repair.
Yes.
We have a major problem on Broadway and 23rd. When is that gonna get done? It's been 4 weeks. It's been 4 weeks, and I know there's quite a few, emergency sewer that, once they open up the ground, they see it's more work than what They thought it would be, but I need to have an answer for that.
4 to 6 weeks from now. 4 to 6 more weeks. It's a
4 to
large,
6 more weeks?
it's a large project, Council.
Right. The only thing I need you to do, Director, is if you, the garbage people can't get down here. Nobody can't get down because it's blocked off from Broadway, so they need to be told to come down from, Hamilton Avenue side.
We've spoken to the owner and the supervisor of Suburban to make sure they talk to the officers, they go back down from 12th Ave,
Right.
all the way down to Broadway to get the garbage.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mims?
Before I go, to Madam Mayor, to the Director, can I get a listing and provide it to all the council members of all the sewer lateral repairs that we've done thus far?
This is,
And-
this is main, this is in the lateral.
You
You want the laterals?
Yes, thank you. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Velez?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President,
Yes, Madam Clerk.
the votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Item number 3 is hereby adopted.
Next.
Item number 4 is resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract with Montana Construction Corporation, Inc. for sewer main repairs and replacements. It's bid number 22.19. It's Department of Public Works Resolution 22737.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Velez, second by Councilwoman Mims. Roll call on item number 4, Madam Clerk.
Roll call on item number 4 for adoption. Councilman Abdulaziz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mims?
Yes.
Councilman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Velez?
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
the votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Item number 4 is hereby adopted.
Next item.
Next item is a resolution authorizing the award of contract to Applied Landscape Technologies for the Commons Athletic Field improvements. It's bid number 22.36 for the Department of Public Works. It's Public Works Resolution 22738.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Velez, second by Councilwoman Mims. Roll call on item number 5.
Roll call on item number 5 for adoption. Councilman Abdulaziz.
Director, just email us the design specs on each bill. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mims.
Yes.
Councilman Udine.
Yes.
Councilman Velez.
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
the votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Item number 5 is hereby adopted.
Next.
The next item is a resolution authorizing award of contract to Athletic Fields of America for the installation of new synthetic turf field at Pennington Park, Upper Field, under Educational Services Commission of New Jersey Co-op 65 MCS CCPS bid ESC&J number 19-55 for the Department of Public Works. It's a Public Works Resolution 22739.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Abdulaziz, second by Councilwoman Mims and Councilman Velez. Roll call on item number 6, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mr. President. Roll call on item number 6, Councilman Abdulaziz.
Director, no clay. No sand, no clay. That, I don't know how that got approved years ago. That's a horrible idea. But make sure that infield does not have any clay. That's gonna be full turf. It's a disservice to the kids up there. And hopefully this construction starts. I know we're doing both fields by springtime. Wishful thinking, or?
I'm working on it tomorrow morning.
Because we wanna get these up and running by hopefully April, May. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Cotton.
Madam. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Director, this is for the top field, right?
Yes.
When you first come in the park. I
Yes.
thought that was a baseball field.
It is.
So what it says soccer? What does it say, turf?
My second place was the infield set, and then that has a new
So none of that gonna be,
It'll be a full turf field.
okay. Right. Yeah, it should have been. Well, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mims?
Yes.
Councilman Udine?
So, before I got to the meeting, I had a conversation with the director that where's the money coming from? The answer came that 90% will be covered by FEMA, and 10% that we have to cover. We need the field to be done. Question to you, Victor. Are we going to have drainage system for the, because
Yes.
when you have tarp, okay, so you already answered that. Because what happened to the soccer field? I mean, before, if you think about when it rains, the water shock there because there is no drainage.
Point of
And this is
order.
why, when,
In the middle of roll call. That should have been a.
I'm sorry, my bad, okay. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Velez? Councilman,
They got the only thing I'm gonna say is the color, please, no gray.
No, green and brown, both of
Okay,
them.
okay. My
My
vote is yes.
Right, that was covered.
Mr. President?
My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. The votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Item number 6 is hereby adopted.
Item number 7, Madam Clerk.
Item number 7 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract with ProLift Equipment Services for vehicle maintenance and repair services, bid number 22.15 for
So
the
moved.
Department of Public Works. It's a Public Works Resolution 22740.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Velez, second by Councilwoman Mims. Roll call on item number 7.
Roll call on item number 7 for adoption, Councilman Abdelaziz.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton. Councilman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mims.
Yes.
Councilman Udine.
Yes.
Councilman Velez.
Those that are always looking to see when the trucks are gonna get repaired and when they're gonna come out that way, they know the needs of those trucks being out as soon as possible they go in. So this is gonna substitute that company that used to take our trucks and stay for months. And trucks will not get repaired, but ProLift has some good experience in what they're doing, so they understand.
Your vote?
Your vote?
I say it's only yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. President?
My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. The votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Item number 7 is hereby adopted.
Next item.
Next item is item number 8. It's a resolution authorizing the award of contract for the purchase of a stainless steel dump body and snow plow from Cliffside Body Corporation under ESC Corp Agreement number 65, MCESCCPS, bid number ESC NJ 20-21-55 for the Department of Public Works. It's Public Works Resolution 22741.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Velez, second by Councilwoman Mims. Roll call on item number 8, Madam Clerk.
Roll call on item number 8 for adoption, Councilman Abdelaziz. Councilwoman Cotton. Councilman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mims.
Yes.
Councilman Udine.
Yes.
Councilman Velez.
I believe we're receiving those trucks soon, and those parts need to be installed for this case we receive a Buffalo storm. I will yes.
Thank you. Mr. President,
Yes, Madam Clerk.
the votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Item number 8 is hereby adopted.
Item number 9.
Item number 9 is a resolution authorizing the renewal of contract with Johnson Controls, Inc. for the maintenance service agreement for the HVAC at the Paterson Safety Complex. Its contract number 030817JHN on the Sourcewell, formerly National Joint Power Alliance. Its Public Works Resolution 22742.
Second. Discussion.
Moved by Councilman Velez, second by Councilwoman Mims. Discussion by Councilwoman Mims.
So just quickly, in the past, Madam Mayor, we talked about doing evaluation survey when we're doing contracts or reevaluation of contracts. And I just want to put it back on the record, the recommendation, since we're doing a lot of renewals or awarding of contracts. I think we should definitely put that process back into place. that it should be attached to, the items as well as when it comes to bid and qualifications. Huh? No, yes. But we're in a award contract season tonight, so, and also for the items where there are additional bids, maybe 2, 3, whatever that looks like, I would like to see the paperwork for the quantifying of what the tally was for those. Thank you.
Council President,
Councilman Abdulaziz?
so we're on number 9, correct?
Yes.
And Madam VA, and this is something my council colleagues, and to the director and whoever's listening, this is bigger. We're just continue putting money to fix things. I know we need maintenance services, the elevators are always down. A lot of the city buildings barely had heat working today, and yesterday. This is where we need to think big and think about really using some of the federal money, which I'm gonna go on to the next item that's coming up, and probably start thinking about building a brand new municipal complex or a city hall annex. Because every year, we pump money into service contracts to fix things that we have to fix, right? We get money from the governor's budget, over $1 million, well, for us to plug holes in different departments. Our buildings are aging. This is a big, big problem. And when we get to the next study that's gonna come on, item number 12, we need to have a serious discussion, council, that we legitimately build a new municipal annex, consolidate all our departments, put everyone in one building, brand new technology, one-stop shop. Jersey City has done it. You go around any town, they have these municipal complexes that everything is there. Right? Instead of coming here for one thing, driving down, getting a ticket. And we do have the means to do it now. We do have some money. It's going to be strategic. It needs to be smart. The administration needs to think big, and this council needs to think big. But you ask any municipal employee, you go in to some of these buildings, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. As a councilman, I feel bad for the city employees, what they have to deal with. I heard one building, it was 50 degrees in their office. How do we expect them to work? So this is, Council President, this is the exact thing, us keep pouring money into broken products or buildings that need more than just a quick Band-Aid. So on 13, I'm gonna have that discussion.
Council President.
Thank you, Council President.
Council President.
We are on item number 9. Councilman Velez?
Number 9. So, piggyback to Councilman Abdulaziz, as a chair statutory agency, we had a conversation with Parking Authority. If any chance the city is blessed again with any tax credit, I believe they did analysis to do another building next to the garage and Parking Authority, and it would cost us about $48 to $58 million to do a new one. So if we get blessed in the future with tax credit money, we should think about that garage and connect the new garage, the other garage, and all that section as a municipal complex. The other thing is that I'm looking at all this contract, and I understand that we have contract for maintenance this, maintenance that, maintenance this, but regular contractors out there, when they go to install anything in any building out there, the first thing they ask them is a CO. Where's the CO for the property? Where's this? Where's that? I would like to have a list. If we demand from everybody out there to have COs and to put in order, I would like to have a list of how many buildings we have that do not have a CO. And we got people in there. So, and I believe the building that we are right now don't have one, because it was 1773, something like that. Yes, because it was done in 1700. But there's other building that needs CO. Why? Because they go through inspections, and they have to go through different areas. We did a tour. I don't know if Councilman was with us. We did a tour at the police complex, up and down, deplorable. I understand why not the chief is there, the other one, before the one that is there now. But, we need to look into this because it's our city employee that is their second home, is their second home. So, and I believe, this one also, if we need him to any, director, I believe if we need the service for them, for any unit, they will come out too, right? Or it's only for the complex?
This contract is for the complex.
Complex. And the one that's gonna serve the new unit that they get.
Yes,
put up
that's
for.
correct. Yes.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Roll call on item number 9, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mr. President, roll call on item number 9 for adoption. Councilman Abdulaziz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton? Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mims?
Yes.
Councilman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Velez?
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Item number 9 is hereby adopted.
Next, item number.
Next item is item number 10. It's a resolution authorizing the renewal of a contract with J&J Electrical Construction and Design, Inc. for general and emergency electrical work and installation services. It's bid number 22.1A, the Department of Public Works. It's Public Works Resolution 22743.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Velez, second by Councilwoman Mims. Roll call on item number 10.
Roll call on item number 10 for adoption. Councilman Abdulaziz? Councilwoman Cotton? Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mims?
I'll say it again on the record, this is another bid for a renewal. We should definitely see the quality of work that has been rendered before we do extensions or renewal of contracts to ensure that we're getting the best service, especially in this complex that needs a lot of work. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Velez?
You know, I read this contract, we had to vote on it because we got it here and they went through the process. But I just wanna highlight something here. $85 regular hours from 8, Monday to Friday from 8 to 4:30. $95 for overtime. $95 if they work Saturday and Sunday, Saturday. $105 if they work Sundays and holiday hours. And if we hire somebody that know how to do this in the city, you know, we could save a lot of money. Now, we prevent DPW to do overtime, but look at the amount of money that we are spending here on this contract. So it's good to think about it, Madam BA, to get somebody certified, somebody that knows how to do the job, somebody that could be in-house, and we could call at any time, and if they're gonna do overtime, at least the money's gonna stay in-house. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. President,
Yes, Madam Clerk.
the votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Item number 10 is hereby adopted.
Next item, Madam
Next
Clerk.
item is item number 11. It's resolution authorizing the solicitation of bids for the repairs and reconstruction of the McBride Avenue Firehouse parking lot. It's bid number 23.08, Department of Public Works. It's a resolution 22744.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Velez, second by Councilwoman Mims.
Discussion.
Discussion. Councilman Jackson.
Why is the parking lot in McBride Avenue being repaired?
It got damaged during the hurricane. Damaged during the hurricane.
What hurricane is this?
FEMA money was.
FEMA money was taken care of.
Where's the money coming from?
FEMA, we get reimbursed.
FEMA?
We'll be reimbursed 90% back here.
Yeah, just, Council President,
Yes.
this is similar to the Pennington Park Fields, that this would be a project that would be reimbursed 90/10 from Hurricane Ida.
Council President,
Councilman Velez.
just to put it out there, a lot of people was gonna ask if they see this item, why we taking care of that parking lot, et cetera, et cetera. I spoke to the director and I mentioned the parking lot that we have behind City Hall, that's a city property, also the Board of Health parking lot. And he guaranteed me that next spring is gonna be done because it's in the works, correct?
It's in the queue.
Thank you. I just want to put that on the floor because that's a conversation, because when we see something like this, I think also another parking lot that we have, that would city employees walk through it, and there's an ability for anybody that walks most of there. So the Board of Health and the parking lot, soon as could be done too. My vote is yes. Oh, we have a vote.
Councilwoman Mix.
Council President, so Madam VA, in addition to DPW, is not just for your department, can you provide a list of all of the projects that have been approved over the last 3 years, alongside of it showing the dollar amount of how much money has been voted on for the project, how much money has been utilized for the project, and where do we stand in the completion of the project for every project over the last three to 4 years? Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Roll call on item number 11, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mr. President, roll call on item number 11 for adoption. Councilman Abdelaziz.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton.
Also, I'm sorry, Clerk. There were quite a few things that happened with Hurricane Ida. If you can, Madam VA, have we gotten any reimbursement back from FEMA, for some of the other things that happened when Hurricane Ida hit? If you can provide that for everyone here in the city council. Thank you. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Jackson.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how Hurricane Ida has seemed to have isolated certain situations in the fire department. I just drove through that part not too long ago. I mean, to Councilman's point, the health department had to go through this today. It's terrible. Hurricane missed the health department's parking lot. You know, it's just prolong this. Madam Clerk, my vote is no.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Mims.
In addition, just a request, Madam B, it was stated that 95% of FEMA is paying for this. I would like to see the exact amount of how much FEMA is paying, and then what is the difference, because when I look through the item in the 3 pages, it doesn't show that breakdown. So if you could provide the exact dollar amount of how much this project, the estimation.
90%, Councilman, not 95,
90%. So if we could be provided with the details of what the total amount is, 90% is coming from FEMA, and then where the remainder is coming from, that would be great. Thank you. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Udine.
So recently, I believe we approved the contract for, I think, the task force for the fire department, right? I think the last council meeting, we had the floor, that's the thing, we approved it. I think it's in the parking lot for, parking lot repairment. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Velez.
So this is a resolution to go to solicit bids. It's not approved yet. Hopefully when they come back, we cover that 90% that they're gonna cover it all, that we don't have to get money from nowhere to cover it. Well, I wanna bring this up. When Hurricane Ada, I believe it is, was the one. If all the city building was along that river, probably they was covering everything. As you know, that the flood area was the river, and that's what FEMA look into it and say the area that was affected by the flooding from the river. If the Board of Health was in that side, probably we don't have no building, but at least we could have paved that new building there and will be covered by FEMA. And everybody knows that process is process, applications is applications. We got people receiving state check from the state from giving money from COVID. So, you know, at least we got this, and it's only soliciting the bids. Hopefully they come back with 90% of it covered. We don't have to get money from other places to cover it. So my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. President.
My vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
The votes are 6 yeses, 1 no, 2 absences. Item number 11 is hereby adopted.
Council President, if I could just make one comment about Hurricane Ida in particular. One of the strategies, and I'll get some of the information requested from our OEM coordinator, one of the strategies the city has been doing is making sure that we're submitting fully for the work of our employees during hurricanes, because some of that can also get reimbursed. That's work that we generally already have budgeted for, that they're working on their regular salary, then some of their overtime, all of that gets reimbursed. It gets put back in our storm reserve fund, and that's where we're able to then cover the 10% cost on the other side. So that's overall, We already made those submissions for all the salary worked, all the use of our vehicles that we already had in our fleet, and that's gonna help us then turnkey a lot of these projects.
Council President.
Councilwoman Mix.
So with that being stated, if you've done that work, can you provide that analysis and overview to the city council? So we can
Yes, so the OEM coordinator, he has all the reports, so we'll be able to share that all of his submissions already that we've been reimbursed for, and then all the work he does with FEMA on the state level, it's through the state police office, and all the work and the estimates of what we're gonna be reimbursed. If our costs come in higher, for example, on the field, on the flooring, on the parking lot, they will still reimburse higher than what it is. It'll still be at the same percentage of 90-10, but we do have the initial estimates that they've been working on.
So the only reason I'm asking, because we've been waiting for FEMA to pay back some other stuff, so I just wanna make sure that even though we're voting on items that should be done, that we're gonna get reimbursed. So I wanna see all of that in writing, because we have not gotten reimbursed from previous money from FEMA, so just a request on the floor.
Thank you. Item number 2, Madam Clerk.
Council
Yes,
President,
Mr.
very quickly.
Councilman Jackson.
Madam PA, just for a point of clarity, can you clarify that? So if we have firemen who are working, they're on their specific shift, and I respond to an emergency, which happens to be a hurricane or whatever, reimbursement applications for, we're now being reimbursed for the time for their regular time that they already would have been on shift for.
A lot of it is the additional OT. So for example, last year, when we had multiple people that we had to call in to give out water during Hurricane Irene. So we had DPW workers, we had all those people. We already absorbed that cost in last year's budget. And so then it becomes, when it gets reimbursed to us, then that becomes some of the money we put back in the storm reserve. So some of it is regular time people on a regular shift, but it's actually overtime because we had to pay, we had to call people in.
So here's what my concern arises, because I'm getting a number of calls from many employees and how they're being, I don't want to say cheated, how they're not being paid for time that they believe they're entitled to. For example, many employees that work during the COVID process, many of them have been complaining that they have not been properly compensated. There's the request that I made to you a few weeks ago in the CFO with regard to dispatch and a number of other divisions for their retro pay. So we're now billing FEMA for regular time as well as.
Well, I would have to clarify the regular time. What it really is the overtime. What the difference is what I'm discussing is that a lot of those funds were already absorbed in the city's budget last year. So Hurricane Irene happened, over a year ago. So that's something that when we get the reimbursement from FEMA, we don't have to go put that back into our salary line because we've already paid out that salary. Then we're able to use that to cover the other costs of the 90-10 line. So that's what I'm referring to, so all of our public works people. What we do have, and what we hadn't done in the past, and we've gotten much better at it, is the use of vehicles. We do get reimbursed from FEMA for the use of our vehicles during all of this. That's not something that we ever traditionally submitted prior to that, and that's a whole other source of reimbursement that, we put mileage on some of these vehicles during the storm. Vehicles and equipment. That now we're getting that funding, and again, that's going back into the storm reserve to help us fund, the needed things going forward. And we're gonna keep recycling that funding.
So Madam Leader, which I appreciate, and I can celebrate with you, right, in those accomplishments. But for me, it only boils down to one thing, and I'm concerned about the people of Paterson, specifically employees. So like we're getting reimbursed for mileage on vehicles. So maybe that's for the chiefs of the fire department that live in Ocean Township, that's driving up and down the parkway in a city vehicle, using city gas, using the city Easy Pass.
No, that's not really what we're talking about. It's the use of all of our vehicles on site to address the weather event at hand. And we could talk separately about some of the non-Hurricane Ida related issues.
I don't need to speak separately, I just need the reports that I'm requesting to be provided, so that we can make sure, so I can make sure that those people who are being unfairly compensated, if it is not in fact the case, I would just like to be able to confirm that. So here we are, I don't care if the city gets $1 billion, if it goes into the hands of everybody else that's outside of Paterson, what good is it actually doing for Paterson?
No, but
So-
all of that, all the employees who work overtime get paid the overtime in real time. So they get it as part of their checks. And it's good that the city is then able to get reimbursement for that extra work, especially during weather-related events. But I will follow up with the CFO. They had to, I do know that they had to focus on a lot of the end of the year closeout items, but we will get that information to you of the, how that contract in particular, the retro is calculated.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item number 12, Director.
Yes, Mr. President. Item number 12 is a resolution authorizing a contract for the Recreation Center needs study for the Division of Engineering of the Department of Public Works. It's Public Works Resolution 22-745.
Second.
Moved by Councilman
Discussion.
James,
Discussion.
second by Councilman Velez. Discussion.
Thank you, Council President. Madam VA, this study, and I've been on you guys since day one, right? I hope this study is gonna put something together consolidating all offices in one location, right? A rec center being built, a new police department, court, community improvements, and all our offices are scattered around the city being put. So that's what the study's gonna look at, how we could build something new, right? And what the cost will be to bring everything together.
Yes, Council President. Yes, Councilman Abdelaziz, we have tasked, we created that list of architects and engineers. We asked for quotes from our qualified list to do a feasibility study that looks at recreation center needs, but then also how that might be able to be consolidated with other municipal services. And so the number one piece was looking at that space that is currently 111 Broadway. And that was specific to the response for all the responders. They noted that. Also, the money that we have from American Rescue Plan is unlikely going to be able to cover the entire cost of such an endeavor. So we wanted to pick an engineering firm that also had experience in looking at public-private partnerships and making sure this is something that we can explore all avenues of funding for this.
So, and Matt, Council President, just briefly, so I understand that's what we're looking at. I really want everyone to take, because we only get one bite out of the apple, right? You never just get $17 to $20 million to put it down. It's almost like building something and paying it off, right? Like going to your house here, you got this money, go purchase something. So to have $20 million, and when people say to me, oh, that's a big plan, that's gonna cost us a lot of money. And it is, right? So think about it, if it's an $80 million project, which is a lot, and you have $20 million to put down, that's a good down payment, right? We are losing out on millions of dollars. Look at the city of Passaic. They have a project ready to go, right? They're doing a new health department with a new parking garage across the street from their city hall. The governor, their budget chair, allocated $10 million for that project. We don't have anything to say the city's gonna do. Our money gets scattered through nonprofits, $1 million line item for this nonprofit, $1 million for this project, $2 million for that project. When if we have something, say, hey, we have an $80 million project, our legislators will gladly advocate to say, hey, put a $5 million line item from the state budget to help us out there. Passaic's doing it, the city of Newark does it all the time, Jersey City does it. And when we look at the building, everyone sees the new school on Union Ave. Nice school, right? You live close by. That's a pretty big school. No, forget about the parking. Look at the structure. But look at the structure, right? You know, that building's a big building. Look at the square footage. That cost the state $58 million. Imagine having the City Hall annex with every department there, right? And for $58 million, you have $20 million right off the bat to pay that. Just imagine, we just sell the properties that are scattered all around the cities, put them on the tax rolls. All our employees can work more efficiently because now your technology is upgraded in a brand new building, right? That's fully furnished, $58 million. Desks, science labs, and that nature. So this needs to be taken very, very serious. And I hope this study is looking at bringing I'm sure Council Collins, when you come here and you see people waiting to pay for a sewer, or they gotta get a permit from the deputy, then they gotta go down to Broadway, they get a parking ticket on Broadway, then when they come on Cole Street, they get a second parking ticket to get another permit. This is the time to do it, think big. It's something that can be a legacy project for this entire council and this administration, because it's definitely needed. When you walk into some of our offices, I mean, I can see why the morale's down from our employees. Think about coming out of your car and it's 10 degrees, and you go into your office, it's 38 degrees.
Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Beams. Councilwoman Beams and Councilwoman Velez.
So I agree with Councilman Abdelaziz. I wasn't here for the full discussion, so I agree with the parts that I did hear. I do agree that we do need to do studies. I've been saying that from day one of coming here, that we need to do a needs-based assessment. But when we talk about recreation, one, we can't talk about recreational facility or needs without the people, right? We have to talk about what's really going on in our city. Crime, the issues that are happening with the shootings, all of those things have to be a part of this study. Where it wasn't fully a part of the study when the police came, and I talked about at that time, we gotta make sure that we have not just 2 or 3 items in the study. There has to be a full scope for the study to be complete. 2, how does it impact the quality of life in the community with the study? That needs to be a part of it. Number 3, what will it encompass? Is it within the first 3 years, this is what we're looking to do? What will happen long term? But the biggest part of it is, with this study, how many employees will lose their jobs? Because sometimes when we think of consolidation, it sounds wonderful. But what we don't realize in consolidating, we're outsourcing and we're minimizing some of the stuff that was happening, so people end up losing their jobs. So in this assessment, I want us to be clear on this recreational need. It requires whatever it is, 50 employees, 100 employees, whatever that looks like. And I want to make sure that our Paterson residents are included in some of the scope of the work. I want to make sure that the people that are employed in the city do not lose their jobs. Because when we talk about bringing things together in one spot, one place, people lose their jobs. We don't talk about it, but it's a fact. People will lose their jobs and people will be in a homeless situation, and we don't need that. So let's just make sure, and I'm sure we'll have some discussions about scope of work and all that and going forward, but we definitely have to look at that. I think we need to make sure that, I'm sure you'll be at the table, Director. We need to ensure that our Director, Benji Wembley, is a part of these discussions and at the table to make sure that whatever we don't understand as far as recreation is concerned, that he can talk about it from the athletics perspective. But I think it's a good thing because we need to do it for every area in the city, but we also need to make sure that the scope of work as we're building, that we don't exclude the people of this community that keep getting the service every single day. Thank you, Council President.
Councilor Velez.
Council President, Madam EA, $92,491 to do a study where we want a recreation center. That's what it is, okay? Where we want a recreation center. And this is being paid by the ARP money, American Rescue Plan. $92,000 on ARP money. She just stated that this is not going to cover everything. Of course not, because after that study, here comes the construction plan, right? Now, I resolved the question right away when they asked me, Councilman Velez, where do you think that we could put a new recreation center. And the first thing I thought it was two things, Eastside Park or Roberto Clemente Park. Right there, right in the back. I didn't even know the study, right? So you understand what I'm trying to say here is that everything is going into studies. We had $1.2 million to make sure what we were going to do with the riverfront, studies. What we're going to do with the brownfield up there on the state, we invested money there, study. We invested, I recall some study we did way back and have not been performed. I'm still waiting for the plan and study that they did to complete the project from Spruce Street, Market Street from Spruce Street all the way down to Lakeview. Councilman Abdulaziz could agree with me that they did another study to see how they're gonna put Lakeview, and they consult this resident of the area and this and that. So, and then after that, everybody's getting studied, that I don't see nobody graduating.
Council President.
So you know what I'm saying? Because then comes back this, okay, we now need $48 million for this, $48 million for that, $48 million for this, and everything's gonna stay in promises. I said it before, ARP money was a blessing that the president gave us to all the cities and all the states that needed it to cover whatever the pandemic of COVID brought us, and everything had been gone to cement in the city. So if I take 92,491, right, it sounds like it's not a lot, but we need to balance a budget that's $18 million deficit at this point. So, you know, we need a recreation center, but at the same time, Madam Councilwoman at Large, I believe, I don't agree with me. We're talking about a study for a recreation center, and the administration is thinking about cutting the recreation budget. So it don't match. For me, it do not match. It don't match. So, you know, but that's why they want to put on the floor. It's up to us here.
Okay.
Councilwoman Tana?
Thank you, Council President. I just want to say to the director, I'm looking at this firm for the study. You know, I guess they were Council Velez, like, I mean, I was under plans when they built School 13 and School 21, they had the addition on it. And after they finished, it was horrible. You know, they had contractors who never built schools. So, you know, I would just like to see, and you can provide it to all of us, what the requirement was for these bids. Like, because you look at one bid, it's at 92, and the other one is at 193. I mean, that's $100,000 difference. Like, what was in here that made it such a big difference? I would love to see the scope of work that you were looking for them to do. And I hear, you know, about trying to put everyone and build this together. And we really should. They've been kind of talking about that for quite some time. But sometimes I find it's easier said than done, because we have to really get our credit score up, meaning the city of Paterson. You can have all the money down payment, but if you don't have a good credit score, you can't get what you gotta get. So, can you just provide us with the specs? Because it's $100,000 difference between two contracts. That's a lot of money. I would just like to see that. All right.
Council President.
Councilman Woodin, then Councilman Jackson.
Thank you, Council President. Question to EA. So let's say if we award this contract to the whoever architect we want to hire, do we have to pay this amount, or the American School plans to pay this amount?
Yes, this is using our funds, we would be paying this amount.
Right. So let's say we awarded this contract and we move forward with this project. Is it going to, if we start this project, let's say, hypothetically, see next year, when you came up with the projected, you know, budget for 2023, did you count this project in consideration that what else we have to add to our budget, how much money we have to put into it.
Only in the sense of that we've included this as part of the costs under the ARP spending, so not in the city's budget, not in the operating budget, but through the ARP budget, which the council approved for the recreation center.
Yes, but my point is it going to impact our budget in general?
No,
Not at all.
because it's the different source of funding. The majority of the ARP spending, we are focused on the capital projects that we feel, as a city, we want to move forward on. That's the sewer project on River Street. It's all the parks funding we've been making. We are focused on making sure these are not things that would have a serious ongoing cost to the city, other than the cost that we already have, whether it's, discussing recreation programming. That's separate from the feasibility study around a recreation center, and then the funding of the first part of a recreation center. What might come in down the road is, again, finishing, how would we finish the cost? That's why we want to see all of our options of what a building could cost. It might be ideal to have a huge building that we would be able to consolidate all of our city offices. That would have a much higher cost than maybe a smaller building that would consolidate the offices that are already there right now, plus a recreation center. And then that's where the decision has to be made. What path are we going to go down? Do we want to allocate bonding for the next few years for a project? Do we want to have a private partner that would help us facilitate this funding without having it be a bond? That's all the things that this firm is going to help us analyze, so that the administration and the council can work together on what the path is going to be.
All right, so that's a one direction. So let's say another direction. We don't want this project at this point. Is this money is going to help us in any way to cover the hole for the next budget?
At this point in time, the Department of Community Affairs is not looking at us to use ARP dollars above and beyond the things that we are already trying to improve the service. For example, there's the reason why ARP dollars were given, and there's a section of the legislation that talks about lost revenue due to COVID. So for the city, for other towns, there could have been lost revenue from parking garages and travel decks directly, hotel tax that they relied on. For the city of Paterson, our biggest revenue loss was municipal court. So we're using ARP dollars to plug that hole, but we're also working to bring that revenue back to pre-COVID levels. That's the type of spending that DCA would approve. We may have to use some of our other spending, but maybe not necessarily what was allocated for this. We don't know what that's going to be like for, again, when DCA tells us right now, their indication is that they don't want us to use it to plug a gap, because we need to make sure that that gap is plugged for multiple years. And just doing it for 1 year means that we're going to have that same hole the next year. So we have to make other decision making around this. But I don't know to what extent that's going to be. It's still something that's evolving on a week-by-week basis.
My biggest concern is that we, as my other council colleagues mentioned, they're concerned that studies after studies and nothing is done. One thing. Besides, we can start this, and is it going to impact us anyway? Because think about the hole that we have in the next budget. How are we going to cover this? Whether we have to raise taxes, which is, we are kind of like on peak level. It's impossible for our homeowners to pay the taxes they are paying even today. Then if we think about all the possible options, none of the options are comfortable. Whether you cut employees or what other things can do. We need police officers on the street. We need more officers. You can even think about cutting employees. I'm not sure if any department has extra employees, those are not doing anything. I don't have knowledge on this, but if we do, definitely can cut these employees, but I don't think this way. Because I don't see anybody just sitting and taking the payment. But I would say keep this in consideration. I believe we have to focus more on how can we cover the whole of projected $18 million in 2023.
Thank you. Councilman Jackson?
I'll be very, very brief, because it's really like a waste of time. The councilman just outlined how the cost to build a very big building is only $50-some-odd million. Yet we refurbished a stadium and build some apartments for $120 million. The problem here, we don't understand spending. This council just allows this administration to run off and do whatever they please. And she just kind of outlined or revealed what the true intent is. I'm gonna give you guys fair warning. What the true intent is to continue to privatize public dollars. So having the consultant go out and find best practices, is it feasible to partner with a private? Why do private people partner with public entities? To make money. So we want to funnel money. Here's $90,000. We go away and give it to a consultant to tell us, those of us who walk the streets, who know the city, they're going to come here and evaluate where's the best place to put a recreation center. Well, we think the best thing for you to do is create a public-private partnership. Go back to the well, find additional money, let them come in here and make more money off of it. We bonded years ago $25 million, which Council President so graciously talked about how we like to tell people 25% of the truth. But we bonded over $50 million. And we started utilizing that money and paid $6 million to have them do a wall that got spray painted up. By the way, for those of you who didn't see the new cricket site, this cricket house we just built is already vandalized, which is going to be the same thing for the stadium. We have yet to put any programming in place to impact the lives of these young people that we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars for. And if we really was concerned about jobs, this council would have been responsible in doing an audit of the stadium that only created about 6 or 7 Paterson-based jobs. But here we are pontificating about spending more money, overspending, which we obviously don't even understand the value of the dollar. We're gonna spend $20 million to go after $80 million. The school just showed you, because even schools, they build overpriced buildings. So at $50 some odd million, they got so much more than we're getting for $120 million. And it's just embarrassing, you know. Anyway,
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the idea of what this is. This is the feasibility study, and numerous council members have talked about this. In Paterson's history, there have been quite a few studies done, and we have never had that funding available to do the next steps. So yes, that is true. You might have seen certain traffic studies or certain suggestions done or for capital projects, and that then we only have $9 million a year for our entire bond to do everything from facilities to road resurfacing to equipment. Now we have this opportunity, and most recently we've had additional money. Councilman Abdelaziz talked about the legislature, but we last year got $10 million in supplemental transitional aid, and that truly helped us with some of these projects. It's helping us with road resurfacing, helping us with vehicles. So the state has been stepping in and helping us in some ways other than just what we're getting for general operating. At this point, it includes a robust community engagement portion. That is what we have asked and what we have tasked this firm to do. And it will lead to essentially, and it's not just saying like, oh, where do we think it's going to be? It's doing the engineering involved in where can we actually build a building of this size? Is it smart for us if there has been such water damage in that space in 111 Broadway, which we all know it is? Is it smart for us to do the same type of building there, or what would we have to do to mitigate that? So it's important that this is being done by an engineer and an architect. It's important that there is going to be a community engagement portion, and we're going to engage the entire council in making sure it is a robust one. And we think the firm has the experience, and it's not just finding other funding, it's that they've done this for other municipalities like Middletown, and Director Rodriguez has gone to other municipalities where the public-private partnership model works in order to get a building built when you don't have money to do it yourself and when you don't have the bond capacity or the ability to raise taxes to do so. So this is the commitment, the $92,000 that you see before you. If we end up not being able to fund it from the $17 million, it will be another study that we've done that we choose to go in another direction. We feel like this is actually one that has the ability to lead to an amazing recreation facility for our youth, which is something that the administration and the council both want.
Thank you. Councilwoman Mills?
So I want to reiterate, I my prayer is that what's before us is a full scope study, not looking at 111 Broadway as the location, because I hope that's not what we're doing. Because for me, and the reason why I said we have to have the input that I'm stating, the record showing the crime that's going on, there is no way in the world, and I'm gonna say it as a resident who's lived here all my life, you cannot put one rec center in one location of the city. There's a recipe for disaster for our kids. You have kids that are involved in situations where they can't even cross the streets. They're on one side of the street, they can't walk. They can't, if we put a rec center, they will only be possibly safe in the building, but when they come out of the building, what happens? So we have to make sure, I'm gonna keep saying it, and if that comes before us that they want it in one location, I'm gonna vote no. Because I'm not gonna put a vote where kids' lives are on the line for a center, one place that I know our kids, first of all, we have all these after-school programs, and that should be an evaluation that should be already in place that we could look at in the school district. They have their after-school programs, which they can't fully fund because they don't have all the money for it, but you should ask them, how many people go? It's not a lot of people attending. You know why? Because parents are scared for their children. There's a lot of situations going on. So I pray that this is a full scoped study, not targeting one space, a centralized location where the rec center will be located. We think you can just one-stop shop. We can't one-stop shop kids' lives. We have too many shootings going on in the city for us to say this is it. Recreation is full faceted, it's not one-dimensional, it has a lot of different moving parts, and some people, they golf, some people play football, some people do basketball, some people do lacrosse, people do everything in the city. We just don't know about it because we don't have a lot of the opportunities available for lack of funding. So with this study that's done, I hope everybody's involved. School district, police department, fire department, DPW, everybody, community stakeholders, everybody is involved. Because when you talk about recreation, you cannot talk about it without talking about all the lives that's been lost in the city due to limited recreational opportunities. I'm gonna say a line from Dave Gilmore, he's not in, so Ernie tell him I said it. We cannot economically empower our community and not economically build our people. So if this is not gonna be for our community and it's for whatever's gonna happen on the outside, then we're gonna be throwing money in the air. Because this money should be going to our community and making sure that we're putting our best foot forward for our children, our middle class, and especially for our seniors. So that should be at the priority of this item. And I'm gonna be heavy on this item because I've been talking about it from day one, and I'm not gonna stop talking. I know it's my birthday, Council President, but I had to put that back on the record. So thank you for the extra time.
Roll call, Madam President.
Yes, Mr. President, roll call on item number 12 for adoption. Councilwoman Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I just want to say to Billy, the director, and to Councilwoman Mims on her statement. Back in, this is going way back, and I'm talking about in the 90s where our children went to Eastside High School and they couldn't cross Market Street. Someone had to go to the field house to get them because that's what was happening. I understand what Councilwoman Mims is saying, that to do one, no, it got to be, to me, like scattered throughout the city. Back in the day, and I need to put this out there, they had a program called a camp. And what they tried to do was, and I went as a parent, I volunteered, and then they told me I couldn't go no more because I wasn't a teacher. What does a teacher has to do with watching kids at a camp? But what they tried to do was, they would put schools together, like School 13 and School 28. They would go to the same time. School 4 and School 15, they would go to the same time. And what they were trying to do, and it did work for a little while, of letting kids learn about each other even though they went to different schools or they live in different part of the country. So when you say that you're gonna do the community piece and the other piece, but for some reason or another, sometimes the state of New Jersey requires studies. They require studies. If they don't see a study, you can't get no money. And it's sad to think that way, but that's what it is. Right now, I have an application in for the neighborhood revitalization tax credit, and I'm waiting for, and that money, to get that money is just for the study. It ain't to build nothing, it's not to change nothing, it's to get the input from the community, and it's about study. And for some reason, maybe some of the things could be changed, because some of us can put up good ideas of what we need to do, but with that being said, as Councilwoman Min said, we know we need more just than one, so. And I, like I asked you before, I just want to see the breakdown of what you were asking when you sent out these bids. What you were looking for too. All right. Madam Clerk, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Jackson?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So, I get a lot of heat for consistently being in opposition. Let me tell you why. These are the types of things here that really bother me, get under my skin. And you gotta help me out here, Ms. Muhammad, because when you talk about recreation, right? When you talk about the community that's impacted most, you look at violent crimes, we pay, wait, let me not say we pay, because the money came from somewhere else. But we paid somebody to come in and be a statistical and analytical employee, right? We haven't had any statistics on the impact of COVID relative to demographics, relative to environmental conditions, what part of the city, right? Where's the statistical data on violent crime impact and which communities are impacted by it most? How do we change the culture or utilize some of this other funding that we're getting to change the conditions in the community when we don't even want to look at who's being impacted by it, right? So now let's talk about the cemetery. Recently, we had, just the other day, we had a captain of the police department come here and purge himself, clearly lied, and all of you had an opportunity to see him do that, right? When you talk about the hiring practices, the promotion practices of the police department, and how minority officers have been disenfranchised, there's no correlation between how people view the employees of the community. Yet, Council President saw it fit not to hear this item today on the agenda. But we're hearing about how we can spend $90,000 to get to an outside agency to come here, because yes, Councilwoman Mims is absolutely correct. So we're gonna hire a suburban agency, right, to come in here, and they're gonna know about the dynamics within the community, how bloods are relating to these other gang members, how, young people are being impacted, how they can't cross over community lines. They're not even gonna have a clue, because the members of the administration don't even have a clear understanding of how these conditions impact our community. But yet they know how to spend money consistently on things that really are not gonna pay dividends to the community. Because yes, we've spent a great deal of money. We did multiple fields, multiple parks, we did the field house, yet every year we still got people in the community raising $30,000 to take kids down to Florida. We've done nothing with implementation for programming for our young people. We do have $1 million grant that goes to the police department. They have some rides and festivities, some parties and stuff like that. But how does it truly impact our community? So here we are yet again, having discussions on public-private partnerships, how we're gonna put public dollars into the hands of private business people, right? Because we still have yet to answer the question on the $15 million developer's fee at Hinchcliffe Stadium. I asked a simple question to the chair of finance. Where's the money coming from? How much did they put into the project? We know how much they're getting paid, but how much did they put in? They're gonna manage the project, and then they turn around and create another contract that they never brought back to this council with the Jackals, right? So this is just a common practice. And Director, I apologize for prolonging it, but if I don't say it, who's going to? because this is consistently happening where our community's being pissed over. We're spending real money here. This is not monopoly money. It's not small change. We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars. Oh, but that money came from ARC. And that money comes from FEMA. It's not. But yet, the taxes for the community, we short $19 million for our budget deficit. So, anyway, let me let you guys carry on as business as usual. I don't even know why I've interrupted. I'm truly disappointed that the item for the committee to hold against a lying police officer, the guy came right here and purged himself in front of the council, and not one council person is upset about that. This is our community. He don't live here. He can come here and do whatever as people in our community continue to get sidelined, and we have people on the council running block for them. I rest it.
Councilman Jackson, your vote?
My vote is no, man, but
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Mims?
So, let me just put it on the record before I vote. So it has been statistically proven in the city of Paterson, Madam Mayor, I think this will be good for you to hear. Before I go into that, I want to say, first of all, the administration reached out to all council members for recommendations from the ARC dollars. And the majority of us met with you, probably 95%, right? Met with you. And I think we all agreed that we want a rec center. It was agreed upon by this council. But the scope of that work needs to be well sought out. Statistically, it has been proven that in the city of Paterson, the crime is the worst in the 1st, the 4th, and the 5th ward. That is statistically proven. That's not men's words. It's statistically proven. You Google it, you'll see it is online. We also, Paterson is identified as the number 3 worst city in the world, in the country. That is statistically out there, I mean, for the world to know. So based on that, that's why I'm saying there cannot just be one rec center. Because statistics have proven that we have 3 wards out of 6 that have a higher rate of crime in our community. In addition to that, we have to ensure that we do a full scope or a study for our hotspot initiative that we already have in place to see how well it's working, if it's not working, how can we tweak that, what do we need to do? We have UEZ dollars that have come in. That was a recommendation that I made with the UEZ dollars when we're putting stationary police officers in the areas of the community, that it should be directly aligned with our hotspots. If you know that there's a lot of shootings in certain areas and it's a UEZ location, it should be automatic that we have officers aligned or stationed in these particular areas, which is definitely needed because people want to feel safe. We get the phone calls all the time. They call the council members about quality of life and safety concerns. So here's a recommendation, Madam BA, that I think will help us or assist us instead of spending $60 million in one pot. We have 54 schools, public schools in the city. They have their buildings, some are 100 years old. Maybe it would be good in a conversation or meeting with the school district that we partner with the school district, and in all the schools we build a community center model in the schools that will save us money because the children are in the schools and the surrounding areas have other children that may have graduated, but it will save us so much money that we're working together or a shared service agreement with ourselves and the school district, whose budget is almost $700 million. It will save us money so we're not taking a big whop of our ARP dollars to put it into that program, and maybe we can cut it in half, maybe it's 10 million or 8 or whatever that looks like. But I just want to put that recommendation openly on the floor and to the public, and I'm gonna be posting it, so if someone says they saw it, they will, because I'm gonna be saying it. I think we need to look at, when we do these type of studies, we have to think of it in a multifaceted approach. It can't be one-dimensional, but we have to look at it based on the statistics and the fact that we always say numbers don't lie. When you get a call and you hear a crime or a shooting, I guarantee you, if the address is in the 1st, the 4th, or the 5th ward. not negating the second, the third, and the sixth ward, but it's just statistically proven, and if you look at our homicide rates and all the things that have happened, you will see that these are the areas that are heavily impacted. And I think a study needs to be done on that. When we're making recommendations or trying to do new things, we should always consider the statistical data that shows that these three wards have a higher degree of situations or occurrences that are going on for whatever the reasons are. Maybe there needs to be a survey to identify what are the root causes, whether it's housing, employment opportunities, whatever that looks like. But with this study, I'm gonna say it again, I hope it's a full scope study, not saying we wanna just have, and I don't have an issue with like the different offices, because I think that will help residents. But I have an issue with a rec center, just one, being at one location. That's a recipe for disaster. I am not gonna support that, because I get the calls, go to the hospital, I get the calls with the families of people that are being shot, stabbed, killed, people that are paralyzed, colostomy bags, and I, as a council member, will not sit back and vote yes to see another kid get killed on our watch from putting up one rec center in the city, which I know is not what we need. So this is just for a study, so that we can see whatever the recommendations they have. Doesn't mean we have to go with them, but we definitely need to have something in writing and a plan to go forward. So with that being stated, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Velez?
Eugene is over there.
He does pass.
I said pass.
Oh, okay.
Councilman Velez?
CFO, I'm sorry. So, Madam VA stated that this will be paid by ARP money, correct? Madam VA, just want to clear that, right? So at the back of the paper of the certified fund, I see they paying this with capital money. Capital. C.
That's the capital fund for ARC dollars.
So how we could identify you're not taking money from the capital money budget, that we put aside for other capital item, project that we're gonna do it, and ARP number don't have a straight line item.
The ARP they have their own numbers,
So you
it's
put
still capital funding.
So you put the ARP money in the general fund?
No, it is its own capital lines. It's different from the lines that are for bonds.
Okay, so you just want to make sure that this resolution, there's nowhere I say that we are paying this ARP money. So the account that they have it is in the capital money. So I just want to make sure that it is taken from ARP. Okay? And Councilwoman Mims is right. We that travel around the city and go to different places that probably this administration did not go. Probably when they have to go to Montgomery, you don't see them. And probably you don't see them through Chamberlain Avenue unless they go into the houses, and probably they don't see it in the Market Street when they go unless they're going to cross the other city, going to another city. But Roberto Clemente Park, Montgomery Park, Vera Zane Park, and the Chamberlain Park and Eastside Park are the most visited in the summer. If you go through there, right? Their track too. You go through there, you're gonna see a lot of people playing those parks. So she said it right, we cannot conform ourselves with one recreational center. It's supposed to be to use it everywhere in every place in the city. So I know Ernest Rogers in a hurry has something for me, so we're gonna vote yes because they need to do this with the ARP.
You're not gonna get you to vote yes fast enough.
No, that's okay. I got you.
Did you say yes,
Oh, a
Councilman?
long time ago.
Councilman Wooden?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we need recreation center, definitely. We need recreational opportunities for kids year round and also indoor, which we all agree with. And as our council members mentioned, that maybe one recreation center is not enough because we have so many schools. We have to cover, if we need to, meet the needs of our community, we have to have multiple. The particular things that we are talking about, the awarding the contract for $92,000 for site study. So I have to make sure that I have an opportunity to give my input that what I want or what my community wants. So I make sure as a down with BA, I make sure that I have this opportunity. do you have this opportunity to sit down with the whoever coming to do this study? Do you have the opportunity to talk to them and give your input? So the answer came back, yes, we are going to have 6 meetings with council members, we're going to have town hall meetings, we're going to have meetings with the community members where we all can give our input that where we think would be the good locations for Christian centers. So I'm looking forward to it, BA, that I don't want to just give yes to everything like this, but I want to know that yes, this is the demand that I feel, because we are the council members, we're driving around the city. And as a councilman at large, I'm thinking about the entire city of Paterson, not for any particular ward. So definitely I'm looking forward to sit down with and meet with whoever coming to do this study, and this study should be inclusive with everyone, council members, admins, and most importantly, the residents of the city of Paterson. With that being said, my vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. President?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We are the third largest city in the state of New Jersey without evacuations.
Yes.
I heard many community members come in front of the podium and express their concern of how we need a recreation center. And this is the start. This is the beginning. I think we definitely do need to do the study. And next step will be have the place and engineering and a lot of more work needs to be done. I think this is the first step, and my vote is yes, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Abdulaziz,
Yes.
you're voting on 12.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. The votes are 6 yeses, 1 no, 2 absences. Item number 12 is hereby adopted.
Item number 30, Madam Clerk. Item 30.
Item
13, yes.
Item number 13 is resolution authorizing a contract to Suburban Consulting Inc. for the 2023 Citywide Road Resurfacing Program Supplemental 1 for the Division of Engineering of the Department of Public Works. It's Public Works Resolution 22746.
So second. Moved by Councilman Abdulaziz, second by Councilwoman Mims. Question by Councilwoman Mims.
No, Director, let me just
Councilwoman
try.
Mims.
You said cotton?
Councilwoman Cotton.
Director, item number 13, is this for surfacing or is this for, how can I say it? This ain't for servicing the roads, is it?
Yes,
Oh, but you don't have the streets on here.
it'll be added.
Oh, how you gonna do it?
We'll send it.
Huh?
It was in the original email from, I don't know why it's not on here.
You said what? I didn't hear you.
They were in the original email when it was sent down.
The list of the streets that are gonna be,
Yeah,
paid?
we'll send it, I have Fred send it in the morning.
You know how many streets there were? Yeah.
I don't know, the caption on top of my head.
Madam Mayor, do you have
I mean, like,
Yeah, I think it's about 13 streets or so, does that sound about right?
I think it was 11,
Do we have a meeting?
I'm not quite sure about Suburban, but I know there was a few companies that I know I would never vote for, but they was horrible in paving the street. The street opened up like, 6 months into being serviced. Yeah, we need the list too,
please, Director, please email the list.
Council President?
yeah, we need the list.
So I have a concern,
Yes.
because if we don't have a list, how are we voting for it? How are we voting on resurfacing any roads? There's a lot of roads in our community that we have sent lists, we, sent for approval, but we don't have the information. So, Council President, I want to recommend that this be tabled to January's meeting until we be provided. I don't see how we can vote on something without the detail.
Okay, let's just move it, Council President.
Is it 11 roads? So you're in favor?
To January's workshop.
Let's, Madam Clerk, do you want to table item number 13? Okay. Next item is item number 14.
Council President, it's tabled to the workshop of January 10th. Is it?
Yes.
Council President.
Councilman Jackson.
just for a point of clarity, it says the consultant, this is for the actual services, not the consultant, right?
Yes, that's what the director said, yes.
It says suburban, consultant.
This is for the scope of work.
That's for the school.
Yes.
So that's not actually.
No, this is not actually to do the actual work, this is for the scope of work to design phase.
So this is, just for a point of clarity, we, I know we saw a small reduction. We used to pay our engineering firm, $1 million a year.
1.5.
Now, we might have saved maybe $100,000, $150,000. We don't have the in-house capacity, or we can't hire somebody for $100,000 a year to drive around and assess the roads and the trees.
City has a lot of projects going on. One of the projects that is going to spit to go out to, outside the zone to get it done fast.
What's the price tag?
$208.
So my point is, we couldn't hire 2 Paterson people for $120,000 each and keep somebody in-house to do something like this. We just have to keep paying people from outside. That's just the only way in which.
And he wasn't on the workshop either, so I'll table it for the workshop on the 10th, and we will discuss it in the workshop in detail.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 14, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Council President. Item number 14 is resolution authorizing a contract for 125-133 Ellison Street building evaluation for the Division of Engineering of the Department of Public Works. Is Public Works Resolution 22747. The motion.
No, it wasn't the Dalai Lama. It wasn't the Dalai Lama. It was,
Yes.
If it gets moved out, I have.
Oh, I'm not, okay.
I'm not moving it.
No, I'm not moving.
Can you give us a brief description of item number 14, Director?
This is for the feasibility study for across the street, 133 Ellison Street, on top of recreation, to see what the weight load, what could be done in that office. It's been vacant for years. There's some.
Is it time sensitive? I believe so. Is it time sensitive?
Yeah, well, if I could jump in here, thank you, Council President. This is something that we have asked for support again from Department of Community Affairs, gave us some funding to do this initial study back in, not in this year's, not in 2022 transitional aid, in 2021. So it is something that now we had our qualified list of architects and engineers. We asked for quotes. We want to move forward with this project so that we can then utilize that space to its fullest. And if it's something that we end up kind of restoring the space and being able to sell the building, when we consolidate a recreation center, it doesn't matter what the end goal is. The point is that the building as it stands is not being fully utilized because there's some structural issues to the space, and we want to make sure that we address some of those concerns.
Council President.
Councilman Mills.
So I have a serious issue here, right? Nothing to it. But if we're doing a study for the rec center, why couldn't that just be included, 125 included in the same study? We're giving, and you know what really is bothering me about what's here is some of the same companies that are doing the bids. So if we can streamline and say, we want a study of the rec center, we want a study of 125 Ellison, whatever else we need, we will save money, save time, save the scope of work. But to separate them all, right? And when I hear people say, it's time sensitive, we gotta do it now. No, we do not. That's the way to get the vote. We do not have to do it now. We have time because one of the things we want to identify, what do we want to do? 125, 133 Ellison Street has been there for a long time. That office has been vacant for a long time, and we haven't done nothing. So if it had not been time sensitive 2 years ago, 5 years ago, why all of a sudden is it time sensitive now? We have an $18 million deficit in the city. This item is for, make sure my glasses are clean, Ernie. This is for approximately $230,000, approximately, right? 84,000 and then 144,000, right? This is what is in the the detail, both of the bids are those amounts, right, individually, but these are the amounts of the bids. But my concern is that all of a sudden, we're ready to do studies, we can get money over here, but I have to agree that we have an engineering department. We agreed that we would spend $1 million to develop our own engineering department so that we would not have to do all of this stuff. We have to ask ourselves, what are the qualifications and the scope of work that has been given to our engineering department? And if we're missing something, then we need to go out, put some recs out and say, we need people that have this experience or this experience. And I agree, we have a lot of projects going on, right? And that's why I've been saying we need project managers. If you have certified, APA certified individuals that are in these positions, you would have a lot of these issues. I'm talking about not a management specialist, I'm talking about a real project manager that will utilize things like PERT charts, Gantt charts, so they can see what's going on and be able to go out and really look at what's happening in the community. If there's a storm, they can go out and say, you already have 500 old trees. If you don't cut these trees, this is what's gonna happen. We have to do better. I get it that we need to, but just because we have money doesn't mean we need to spend it at the same time.
Council President, if I could address this directly though, because this is a project that is very specific, that was awarded to us, the money was awarded to us just for this project. It was part of supplemental transitional aid in 2021. It was part of the MOU, the appendix that was included to do this. And it's because the state of New Jersey recognizes that and again, that was even before ARP dollars. The state of New Jersey recognizes that there are things that we are doing inefficiently. That could be that the use of the building across the street could be to consolidate, multiple parts of that economic development department to have them all in the same space so that when businesses come and need to get this permit or that permit or this inspection, it could all be in the same space. We haven't been able to utilize that space. We made the request to DCA for precisely your purposes, saying we need to be able to do this. Now, the council also approved this qualified list of engineers and architects. Because of this very project, I can send you the spreadsheet that we have, that we use for our monthly meetings, all the projects that we're doing in-house and all the projects that we're doing outside, because we have funding, it's efficient, and it'll get the projects done. If we wrap up too many projects in one bid or one quote that we're getting from our qualified list, the project's gonna just grow too big, it's never gonna get done. If we break it out into small chunks, with the funding that we were directly given for this project, then we're going to actually be able to utilize that space, to make the renovations and utilize that space.
Yeah, Madam, she addressed me, so, Vice President. So I regretfully disagree, right? If we're going to spend money, the same person that's doing the work, we put out the scope of work. That's what we do. We are the entity that is looking for people to do work. We're looking to do some studies. It's just common sense. It's not a rocket scientist. You don't need no degree, you don't need none of that to know. I need a study done of a rec center, and once we want to see what we want to do, because this happened in 2021. It could have been on the same scope. It would have saved money, and we're saying if we don't try or do what we need to do, we're gonna keep doing the same thing. Expending money here, and then what's gonna happen? The scope's gonna come back and say, you can use that space to have, a community office. We don't need nobody to do it. We don't need a study to tell us to do a community office. We should know the needs of our community. We should know it. We know we had someone.
Respectfully, Councilwoman, this is not about a need, and that is precisely the difference between the two. The Recreation Center has a community needs component to discuss, to make sure that there's plenty of impact. The building across the street is a pure engineering construction project. It's a feasibility study to look at what are the facility improvements that are needed in that building. That's why the projects are separate. It can just be, we can just move forward once we have the architectural examination of the building.
Council President, Councilman Jackson.
So first of all, Councilwoman Mims,
He asked for the floor before you.
I didn't get the memo saying we had abundance of money to spend. I thought we were just talking about an $18 million deficit that we're spending tomorrow, right? And she's saying, well, the money, they give us the money from someplace else.
Yes,
But
Council.
but you have to pay close attention. What the VA just outlined was, we're gonna do a feasibility study to figure out what's the best use of the building. Do we bring economic development there, by the way, which, because they don't work that department all up and have some people up here in the third, some people on 111 Broadway. Or are we looking to sell the building? Maybe there's already a potential buyer who's already cut a deal, who is looking to, you know, do something else. See, you have to begin to learn how to read between the lines. Now, one of the things that Council President, I'm apologizing to you now because I can't tell you how disappointed I am. The administration just piled a bunch of items on this agenda, in which you acknowledge did not go to a workshop, did not go to committee. And then
It was your committee.
Everything went to the
the
committee.
one right before this, you just said it didn't go to workshop. Okay, so, and then you showed the administration the utmost respect, as you always do. Is this time sensitive? Here, I have an employee who's on a 90-day window for a certification. I would think that that's time sensitive. The gentleman came before, I'm gonna continue to hit this home until you answer the question. The gentleman came here and lied before the public on a publicly recorded meeting. The young lady who's worked for the city for 21 years, who owns a house here, still lives here, is on a list that she was removed from, which he lied and said he did not remove her. And it's a 90-day time-sensitive issue. But we removed that from today's agenda, pushed it to the 10, while we give the VA and the administration courtesy on, is this time sensitive? Can we like hold it up? I'm just curious on how we're selecting the process.
Councilman Jackson, in the last council meeting, it was a personal matter. So I recommended you be included in the personal committee. We have a committee. Go to, right, and discuss it. And if you need to move it forward, bring it to the council and we discuss it in the council. Instead of those steps, you skip everything. And I received the email. When did I receive that email? I think yesterday. You didn't even had a courtesy to give me a call. I received the email with the item on the agenda. Email not from him, from the Madam Clerk, but to add an addendum. And I don't think it was necessary to add an addendum because the nature of that item. I consulted with the corporation council as well. And they weren't included in the email either. So I said, take it to the, like I said, discuss it in the personal committee, then bring it to the workshop and we'll discuss it. Simple, it's not like I'm trying to block an item or anything like that. I'm not betting for anybody. Thank you, Councilor.
First of all, within the legislation, it's clearly, the TCOP is clearly stated there, as well as the provision within the Faulkner Act, as well as the NJSA law. And not one of them,
If you could put it on,
not one of them
put it on the
speaks to,
floor tonight, if you have six
not one of them,
votes, we'll discuss
yeah,
it.
because
So don't try to blame
that's how
me.
you wanna, no, you're the one who removed it.
I did not.
And
Okay, I
sat and listened
and
to you
we
speak,
have a time
and now
limit.
you're speaking over me, right?
We have
I
a
sat
time
and
limit.
listened to you speak. Listen, so once again,
I'm not here to argue.
I'm just stating the fact, I'm stating the fact. If you please allow me to finish,
Go ahead.
without interrupting.
Go ahead.
The state law,
I can't tell.
Faulkner Act, as well as the NJSA law, as well as the city ordinance, the TCOP ordinance, not one of them speaks to personnel committee. Not one. They all speak to the process of the committee of the whole for an investigative body. And based on the fact that this officer, who is a captain, rank and file officer in the city, is denying a longtime resident an opportunity, not one, but multiple, an opportunity for promotion, that within itself should string a level of concern to you, and if we should go by the law, we should not go by recommendation to go to a committee, because the law does not speak to a committee. There's a process that's clearly stated, in which we all are uphold a commitment to uphold that process. The public is entitled to it, the young lady who we're representing is entitled to it, and the public, who has clearly been disenfranchised, because not only does that law state that, but the state legislature and the Attorney General stated clearly that the department should be reflective of the community in which it serves. So that within itself should raise a level of concern, not just from Councilman Jackson, but from you, sir, as the chair, because this body should be acting responsibly, and we're not. So,
Council
President.
One second. At the same time, law allows you to, in any meeting, to put an item on the agenda without my approval, if all of your council colleagues support it. So, I'm gonna put it up there. Councilman Velez and Councilman, Councilman Velez, one second. Councilman Abdulaziz.
Trying to get back to the agenda, as Paula has stated, this stuff should be dealt with. We have an agenda in front of us. So, Madam VA, this contract, not the contract, this study that you want to do, I totally disagree with it. I know the transitional aid and the MOU stated that was well before we got millions of dollars in ARP. So things have changed, right? I'd rather go back to the state and say, hey, we're not using this, maybe give us more transitional aid to plug in the deficit. And I don't think they're gonna, and the reason why I'm against this is because we approved the study to look at consolidating everything, right? This is for structural. I understand the structural, but if we have another plan for this department, then we don't need to know this. We don't need to know this. Right now, we're doing one thing, then we're paying for another one. I understand. We don't know where we're going, but let's see.
I agree with you, Councilman. I think we should remove this item. I don't know.
Council President, before we.
Yeah, remove it. Councilman Woodgate, and we're gonna remove item number 14.
Thank you, Council President. Yes. Still, I need to cover a few things before you take it away. Think about BA. So, BA, we do respect BA. May I have your attention, BA?
We did accept an MOU.
Correct.
Council President, we did accept it in the MOU.
Yes,
But
for
we
this
also
purpose.
you also did have $20 million in ARP money. All right?
Correct.
For this purpose, things have changed. I would never thought about consolidating and building new buildings if you had this found money that came from the federal government. So,
But
and this was
you're already
approved. When was this
deciding,
approved?
Councilman.
When was this approved?
In 2021.
2021, should have brought it in before then. So you're coming out a year later, so that shows your department didn't bring it in time
But
and
Councilman,
manner.
I'm
This
just
council needs to
doing it
approve.
now.
This council needs to approve it, and as you can see, this council doesn't agree with it when things have changed. So
I'm
if
just
it's
going
such
to-
a timely manner, then we could give the money back. And you know what, they come back and say to me, I'm gonna say the business administrator didn't bring it to the council in a timely manner.
That's right.
That's what's happening. So don't
That's
tell me
right.
That's gonna come here and
That's
tell me.
fine. You just-
Don't.
I just
And I'll be the first to tell them, if Rachel Mead tells us why
Michelle Mead?
we didn't want it, or what's her name, Michelle, Rachel, whatever her name is, I went toe to toe with before, I'll do it again.
Oh,
If she
sure.
says, why you didn't do this, I'm gonna say, well, the business administrator didn't send it to us until 2023, this is the last meeting. In 2023, that's when we got this in front of us, and our priorities have changed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Woodgate?
Thank you, Council President. So, Madam BA, with due respect, if you take a look at item number 12, 13, which is taken away, item number 14, these are the same bidders bidding for all three. If you,
It's,
no, let me complete.
Yeah, it's a monopoly.
well, I just need to correct you, because they're not
Yes.
bidders.
Yeah.
These are the architects and engineers that the council has approved as part of our RFQ for architects and engineers. So they are now approved to do projects for the city. So the process then becomes, we ask all of those on their list to provide us quotes for a project. So it is going to be the same firms again and again, because they're the ones who are on our qualified list. So then we're asking them for quotes for the specific projects based on their expertise.
Right, thank you, Madam BA. So, here's the thing, that I'm not any way disagree or with the bidders that they are bidding for all three. My point is that what are the activities we have to be done, and if we put all these things together, who are the bidders come up with getting all the three, or maybe we have more projects coming to the next week, we have no idea yet. That can we put all that together, and can we have a bidder who can come up with all the projects, and in total we are saving money? That's my point. Yes, he responded that if we put all these projects together, then the work might slow down. I think work would be faster, because once a bidder get all the works, they will put more attention to it because they are working on multi-project in one time. I think we have to have it. Besides, we never had opportunity to talk about it, I think, discuss about it. And before even I requested our council president to move back to the workshop session, he already said okay to it, so I thank him for this. And I think we need more knowledge on this. And besides, we have to put things together, how we can save money. It's not that you are against us or we are against you. In total, we are trying to help Paterson. We're serving for Paterson. That's the whole thing. It's not really we're debating issues, but let us be together to save money for Paterson. Because think about the whole we have next year, 2023. Everything I'm saying here today, trust me, I'm thinking about what's going to happen in 2023.
Thank you. Councilman Velez?
Council President, I just,
We table that item.
no, we tabled the item, but let's refresh our minds a little bit here. She could say that we approve 11 firms, and every time we want to approve something, she said we approve, the council approved 11 firms to look at the studies, engineering department, right, correct? Now, what was the amount, Madam BA, that council should not exceed, the 11 engineering?
It's not a contract, it's a request for qualification, so it's a,
Okay,
it's a
so
list.
require qualification, so there's no exceed of.
No.
Okay.
Because
So
it wasn't for particular projects, that's what these are.
Now, I recall 2 years ago, when we said we need to get an in-house engineer, because we was gonna save money. All the individuals that are listed here to do this are outside firms, tied up to the last individual that used to be our outside consulting engineer. Okay, Fred. Okay, so let's start from there. So the outside engineer that used to do the job, for example, let's go back to the citywide road resurfacing. That used to be done by the outside engineering of Fred, right?
If I
Okay,
can
hold on.
explain.
Now, I'm going back that. Before, Fred used to do the citywide road resurfacing program and say which street was going to be paved. And he was an outside contractor. Now, we said that we need to hire an inside engineering to save money instead of using outside resources to do everything in the city. Now we are spending $375,000, okay?
If I can clarify though, this is important. This is important, no, it's not the same thing. This is where there's a difference. This is where there's a difference.
Let him finish, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, let me finish and you slap me, I'm not gonna slap you.
No, I just want to clarify, it's
So-
important.
So this is, when we approved this in September 27, 2022, right? They tell us that we need to at least prove a list of engineers, right? And there were 11 firms, right? So we approved it. Now all this job is coming like, boom, we need to do it right away. Now, $375,000, okay? And still we have an inside engineering doing the job, but he is outsourcing probably the job that he already knows to do. And that's the problem that I'm having right now, right? If our engineer could do before being in-house, he was doing the resurfacing program for the city. Why now we sending this same job that he was doing when he was contract, now he's a city employee, he cannot do it.
But that's,
Thank you, Councilman.
Now, hold on, before
if I could just answer that part.
Before I finish, Madam BA,
That's what we need right here. We need public works.
Councilman Valencia, we'll get to do that, we'll get to it. Councilman Valencia, the item is removed, Councilman, so we'll discuss it on the next, whenever it comes on the next workshop, the item comes in.
All right,
Can I address it though, because I don't want.
I'll let you answer, Madam.
We can discuss it January 3rd at committee.
so I know we
Again.
discussed it, but you
Again.
told me,
Council-
and the reason we do it at 125, 133,
We can
you
discuss
probably
it January
didn't,
3rd.
you didn't explain it to them, is because the building in the top, second floor, cannot be utilized because it's caving in or whatever it was. And then it was trying to see if we could rebuild it back to make it accessible to the city to use. So I don't know who came up with the idea that they could sell the building or whatever.
Okay, thank you, Councilman, the item is removed already. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Madam, yes.
I'd like to have a motion and a second to table the item.
Thank you.
Moved by Mims.
Oh, we didn't take it up.
Second,
Moved by Mims, second by Councilman Jackson and Councilman.
No.
We didn't have a motion. We did-
Do we have a motion on the
No,
floor?
yes, that's what we
There's no motion.
No.
So we don't need to remove, we don't need a motion.
Yeah, we need a motion to
But then you
table.
gotta go back to
We
the
need a motion to be able to discuss it. Who moved in second?
No one moved.
No, nobody.
So how are we gonna move in second and then discuss it? How are we going to discuss it?
So then they broke the
without moving in
Sunshine
second?
Act.
One second, one
Based
second.
on parliamentary rules, because it was an open discussion before the item was introduced.
Was
If we're going to remove it, there has to be a
Able
motion
to
and a
motion and
second.
second. Thank you.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
I
Roll-
moved it to
Moved
retain.
by Councilman Lee, second by Councilman Jackson and Councilman Woodin. Roll call to move this item.
Which number? 13 or 14?
Table it.
Table.
Which one?
You don't need to go.
Which
We
number?
don't need a vote.
It's number 14.
Yes, that is correct.
So roll call on item number 14 for table. Councilman Abdulaziz.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Jackson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mims.
So I'm gonna say this before. These items should not be on a closeout meeting.
They
The
should
purpose of
not.
a closeout meeting is to close the books financially. We have 20 items on the agenda tonight and a closeout meeting. Now, I've sat, I've motioned, spoke, but this should not be here. Closeout meetings are not for items that have not been properly vetted, in committee, properly
It's
vetted
the
in
old
workshop.
heave-ho type stuff.
It should not be here. And for us to be sitting and going back and forth is time sensitive. It can't be time sensitive because we should not be doing it. And we have to do things the right way here. We have to make sure we're coming here. There should have been 3 or 4 items, close out the vote, let public works come and we go home. This is just unacceptable that we're here since 5:30.
Andre tried to ramrod his agenda.
And we can't say, well, if you stop talking, we're talking because the items were allowed on the agenda. That's why we're talking.
They're gonna rush us through.
So we gotta, come on.
Well, I'm not gonna be with you.
Yes, it is my birthday, and I ain't gonna get upset tonight, but this is ridiculous. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Woodin.
yes, Madam Clerk.
Councilman
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Votes are 7 yeses, 2 absences. Item number 14 is tabled to workshop January 10, 2023.
Let's open up the public portion now, Madam Clerk.
Do number 16?
Yeah, can we do number 16?
Oh, come on. No.
Yes, yes.
Right at the public portion.
This is Mr. No. This is for Mr. Henderson, the McDonald man, who's been in our city for 50
How many
years.
speakers do we have, Madam Clerk?
That's all right, that's okay, go ahead.
Madam Clerk, how many speakers do we have?
6, 1 person left.
Yeah, they're paid to sit there.
Go ahead.
First speaker, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. President. The first speaker is Alta from Guadalupe Presley. Our first. 49 Lafayette, please.
Oh, there's only one item, he's on vacation, that's why, he's on his own time.
Is there an Alta here?
He only had one first.
Ernest Walker is the next speaker.
Just a minute. Let me say this categorically. Pure, undiluted bullshit. None of this should have been on this agenda. Pure, undiluted bullshit. And it comes from the president. We're sitting here waiting while you're discussing things that didn't go through workshop. An hour and a half on a study. But yet, we can't get this president to appoint 3 black representations for Black History Month. We're still waiting. And let me repeat, it has not been announced from this presidency about Black History Month. We always end up with less than 30 days to prepare for it. And we need that taken care of tonight. How do you do this to us? I understand the administration's position. Of course, if I'm in charge, I'm going to try to put everything on the agenda too. This is called closeout. Faulkner is very specific about that. These are all workshop agenda items. And you're probably going to speak about the 3 minutes? Don't do it. Don't rush me, because damn it, we've sat here long enough. And anyone that gets up to this microphone, don't allow them to rush you. How long are we going to act like a third world country? This administration, this council, has been pushing shit through this council for a very long time. But yet, when things are asked of this council, committee of a whole is ignored. Is ignored. The only branch of this government that you have that's investigated to be able to investigate. How long are you going to keep doing this? You wonder why I don't come as much as I used to? I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. And I'm waiting for somebody to tell me about cursing so I can really blast. So I can really blast. How dare you hold us here hostage while you discuss something that had no damn business on the fucking agenda. No business. And then you want us to sit here and listen to this garbage. And you want to make excuses. We need a council that is reflective of what we need, not what you need. We need a council that's bringing things up on a timely manner. What was so important about what's on this year? Where's the emergency? On a closeout meeting. And you wonder why people don't come? You wonder why we don't have participation? Who's gonna go through this every week? Every week. You have workshop, then you turn around and you go to the next televised and discuss everything again. It's redundancy. You wanted to piss me off, you did a good job tonight. Very good job tonight. Black History Month needs to be taken care of, and let me say to the administration, Kathleen, I hope you have the mayor here. Tell him to stay the hell away from our events, taking over our events like Kwanzaa, doing what he did last year, having a separate Black History Month program just for his blacks. I'm tired. We don't have to keep going for this. We elected you guys to serve us, not yourselves, and not the administration. You're council people. Must I tell you what your job is again? Faulkner is explicit. It's clear. You represent, this is the people's house. Not your house. You just sit there. Get it straight. Please, ladies and gentlemen, stop this. Stop this. It is embarrassing that you held us hostage this long for something that had no business on the agenda.
Thank you.
I didn't say I was finished, but I will accept the thank you, and I will finish.
Thank you.
It was my last statement.
Thank you.
Told you I wasn't going to be rushed. My name is Ernest Rucker, you all know it. I'm not going to tolerate it. And I hope people start getting the same way. If you don't want cursing at your meeting, you better get your acts together. Because I'm about to lay some of y'all out. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And Rudy, you're correct. Was he talking
You have a
with
charger?
McDonald's?
You have a charger? No.
But we sat for 3.5 hours of ridiculous garbage. Nothing was important that you discussed tonight. Nothing was important. Except you was pushing an agenda that did not serve us. Now I will say good night.
Good night. Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
Next speaker is Mr. David Gilmore.
Mr. Gilmore.
Be nice, Dave.
Good evening, Dave Gilmore. Tough act to follow. Let me start by saying this. I've been a manager, a director, a manager of managers, regional director, project manager for IBM, and I'd like to think that I've been well trained in process, policy, procedure, reporting, and so forth. I have never seen in my 40 years the level of incompetence and lack of responsibility. And how many times do you, Councilwoman Mims, have to beg for reports? You, Councilman Jackson, have to beg for accounting on Hitchcock Stadium. How many other areas of the fake, shall I say fake, quality of life activities that have no reports? By discipline. If you're out here doing quality of life, there must be a plethora of things that can be reported on as we close out the year. I've been to closeout meetings before. I've become these councils for over 10 to 15 years. And it's my understanding, in any place else I've worked, corporate, private, municipal, government, you know, at the end of the year, you get reports.
That's right.
You get activity. You get tracking and trending information from the previous year, quarter, month, cumulatively to the end of the year. Where's your reports? I just saw Roswell Rockland and Stephen Fulop and other people in other towns giving presentations and charts and everything on what happened, the violence reports, the spending reports, when the last time you saw what do you call it? The hotspot report. Hotspot legislation report. When the last time you seen one? When Captain Reyes came up here 3 years ago.
3 years, yeah.
At least. Why don't we get reports? Because you don't want people to know. That's the bottom line. You don't want people to know what in the hell is going on. It's not, and that's why it's not televised tonight.
Which is
well. Thank you for recording, Corey, because people need to know what's going on. And if you're not going to tell us what's going on, then we have no place to go. It's just like when some of y'all run for office. You make no promises, so you're not held to anything. You just run, just to be running. I don't understand. Well, yes I do. I do understand. Because there's a method to the madness. You don't want nobody to question what you're doing. And finally, Councilman Jackson, somebody agreed with you tonight. You know, it is not difficult.
Can you hold my phone
Have
when
a
I go?
disagreement with the administration. You're entitled to have a disagreement. You're entitled to look for the information. You see what I'm saying? So don't feel bad or don't apologize for having a disagreement with the administration. Your job is to hold the administration accountable, not to you got 5 on it. You know, you want to be an agreement with the administration. No, you hold the administration accountable for the things that they commit to do and that you fund during your process.
Thank you.
During the year. So at the end of the day, we need to know who's competent and who's not. 10 years ago, just got 1 or 2 more points. 10 years ago, you talk about 133 and 125 Ellison. I stopped that work over there when they had asbestos on the 2nd floor, and they had another director, another incompetent director over there doing asbestos remediation without uniform equipment, ventilation, ventilators, or anything else for the SLAP program and the DPW workers. So let's call a spade a spade. Yes, I'm wrapping. So let's talk about what really needs to be done and how it's going to get done. And at the end of the day, you need to know as well, Councilman Cotton, I was on Keys, Summer Street this afternoon, and I posted it to all of your pages that the damn thing is all kind of dumping going on again. And the furniture store over here on the corner, which is the flea market furniture store. Why is this guy getting special dispensation? Special interest gets special code enforcement. So I want to thank you. Have a good day. Hope you had a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And if we're going to be dirty and filthy at the end of the year, it's certainly going to continue into the new year.
Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mr. President, next speaker, Ms. Wahida Mohammed.
Ms. Mohammed.
First of all, let me just say, on behalf of my family, I want to thank all of you that sent your condolences and did what you could.
You know what, Dave? I
Help us
mean,
through this
you
time.
can really leave.
No, he's calling.
Okay. I'm gonna use your phone.
The other thing I want to ask is, when you talked about the $7 million